Morning. Today is Monday, October 14th, 2013. I'm Michael Woody O'Brien, economist and investment newsletter writer. Wanted to talk to you today about the 5 frauds that we're all witnessing in the government shutdown and government debt ceiling crisis. The first is there's a possibility the U.S. government could default on its debt. This is probably the number one fraud. And the reason is because your Uncle Scam has tax collections of almost $250 billion every month. And the interest due on the debt is only about $19 billion a month. It's almost like saying someone who makes $2,500 a month in income can't pay $190 in interest. The government, of course, can pay the interest and avoid default. It just can't pay for all the other things it's wasting money on. So it's lying to you and saying, unless we can borrow the interest, we're not going to be able to pay it. That, of course, is a complete fraud. The second is that the government is shut down. It's actually an alleged shutdown. At the very most, 10 to 20% of the federal government is not working. And if you applied what I like to call the German Shepherd test to this, you'll see that that's a fraud. Because if you had a dog and it was 80 to 90% German Shepherd and 10 to 20% Poodle, it would still look like a German Shepherd. The government is operating, and they're operating in a way to try and inflict the most pain to get people to say uncle and allow the Ponzi scheme to go on. The third fraud is that the government is broke and in debt. Ask yourself this question. How can any government that is sovereign and owns machines that can print money and coin money be broke and in debt? As a matter of fact, the dumbest person you know, if they had the ability to print legal tender money and to coin legal tender money, not only would never be in debt, they would never be broke. This alleged fake crisis is all a part of our fiat Federal Reserve system, because money is issued as debt by central banks and not as debt-free money by the United States Treasury, where that power belongs. The third thing is, or the fourth lie, is that collapse will be bad for everyone. The truth is collapse is going to be bad for the guilty, people who have benefited from this great debt bubble that we have. People who were in finance, people who are bankers, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, people who are car dealers, people who peddle debt on inflated assets. Those will be the ones who will be hurt the most in a real debt implosion. But in fact, they deserve to be hurt the most. The people who benefit from the debt Ponzi scheme do have unclean hands. They are the beneficiaries of the scheme. So, what goes around comes around, folks. The last is that a collapse of our debt Ponzi system would be horrible. The fact is that a debt Ponzi scheme boom is the disease and collapse is the cure. And if we had allowed the system to collapse in 2008 without bailing out the banks, without having the Fed lend trillions of dollars to people, without having expanded the money supply in a great way, if you say, where would we be today in 2013? The answer is we would be in the 5th year of recovery. All of this debt needs to be liquidated. It needs to be vanquished and washed out to sea. And the longer we keep kicking the can down the road, the bigger the collapse will be and the more pain that will spill over to people like farmers and workmen and people, miners, people who do something real for a living. I'm Woody O'Brien, investment newsletter economist, and that's my 2 cents. Uncle Scam is lying to you again. There is not really a crisis.